This is what I tell everybody.
Mm.
Don't worry, it's not worth it. We're all going to be poor and have nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, now I don't mean to be depressing to people. I don't mean to upset people. I don't mean to tell people there's no future or that they can't make a plan or they can't go and do something else, because you can do whatever you want to do. That's the point. The point is you can do whatever you want to do. So, and at this point in time, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because I know people who have been working and working and working and working their ass off, as we say, working really hard, and they're going nowhere. And that's okay, right? If you want to spend your time and energy going nowhere, but then on the other hand, we don't know sometimes what's going to be successful and what's not. So so you have to try. So you have to be in the arena. And so those that are in the arena and trying to do stuff, they will win eventually. But nobody knows exactly what is going to be successful at the moment, unless you are a government contractor or you are selling medicines. I mean, those are two huge industries right now. So that's say defense contracts or health services. Those are those are two theoretical growth industries. But growth for how long? How long can you have growth in health services? Because health services mean, in general, taking care of sick people, right? How long can you have growth in taking care of sick people? Because if more and more people get sick, then everything's going to get worse, not better, right? So so that will only work up to a point. You can't have infinite growth in that area. So there are two companies now in charge of the global food supply chain. Only two companies. Two companies own everything. Once upon a time, it was 5, then it was 3. Now it's only 2 companies own everything. Yeah. And these companies are now shutting down food production across the world in every country. They're shutting down food production. 12 of the major, okay, listen to me carefully. 12 of the major food production facilities in the United States have burned to the ground in the last 14 days. 12 of the major productions have burned to the ground in the last 14 days. Somebody is going through America's food production plants and burning them down one by one. Completely burned to the ground, nothing left. Nothing left. There's going to be no food in 12 months. There's going to be no food in 12 months. They've burned. Look, just Google, if you just Google food production facility burns, you'll get 16 to 20. You'll get a million stories. You get 1 million online stories, because that's all that's been happening over the last week, is that the food production facilities in the United States have been burned to the ground, one after the other. One after the other. Burn it down, burn it down, burn it down. Mystery explosion. They even, whoever's doing it, even flew planes. They flew planes into the production facilities. They flew planes into them. Right? Google plane flies into food production facility. Right? Plane crash into food production facility. Right? I think it's 16 to 20 in the last month. Yeah. Have burned to the ground. This is the food. These are the food distribution centers for the United States. And it's going to happen there's a few in Britain. There's a couple in Britain have burned down as well. So whoever's doing it is turning off the food supply. Right? They're turning off the food supply. So food prices, what you think is going up now, times it by 10. This time next year, times it by 10.
Mm.
You need to go out and source food locally. Your local baker, your local farm, your local fruit trees, your local whatever's
Mm.
produced within a mile or 2 miles of where you live.
Mm.
You need to source everything there because the distribution food networks are going to collapse over the next 12 months. Now, not everybody wants this, okay? Not everybody wants this, but we are in a situation where two companies are controlling everything and there's no real competition, right? You know, it's if there's only two boxers in the world, you know,
Mm.
it's not
No.
really a real fight. If there's only two football teams, it's not really a league, you know. It's pretty yeah. Now, grain production, okay, grain farming, the basic materials for food from farming.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which was the #1 production company in Europe for basic raw materials for farming for food? Yep. Ukraine was #1 grain producer for Europe. Now that's gone. It's gone.
Mm.
Where, where are you going to get your food from now? Now Europe has a 6 months to 1 year reserve supply, but what happens when that's used up? Right. That's why. And okay, farming. What does farming need? Farming needs modern farming. Now, like that's modern, big scale. You know, your agrochemical farm needs fertilizer. What can't you get now? The farms can't get fertilizer, which means they can't grow their crops, which means there's not going to be any food for people. So not only that, farms need energy, right? The energy supply is getting shut down as well. So, you know, it's look, history repeats. I know, like this is my personal experience of life. Is history repeats.
Mm.
The mistakes you make, some you learn from, some you make again. You know, it's how we are designed as human beings, right? So, Holodomor. I mean, we're heading to Holodomor 2.0, right?
Mm.
It's already in the Ukraine, and it will, if we're not careful, spread to other countries. What does it mean to be careful? It means source local food, source local water, source everything. Think about all the things that you can get locally that are low cost, and you can survive quite well, especially in Slovakia. If you think about water in Slovakia, right? Slovakia has all those natural springs. It's really healthy, natural water everywhere. Pretty local. It not too difficult to get at the moment. So so you know it's a good thing. So you think about that. You know, make friends with people who have gardens. Yeah, who can grow their own vegetables and be self-sufficient. And because it's gonna the prices we're just at the start, right? We're just at the start, and it's look, no one's going to have anything. There's people in Britain on social media writing my energy bill is increasing 400% this year, and thousands of people died in the winter in Britain because they had no money. Thousands of people died. They had no money for food and they had no money to heat their homes. They just died. And of course, there was no health service, right? There were no ambulances. There was nothing to help these people. They all died, right? So it will be worse next year, under the present situation. And the main reason for the problem is that, and this is it's slightly abstract, but money's not real anymore. originally you had to trade products. Like I would make something, like I'd make this from whatever was in my environment. I'd make a pen or whatever, and I would trade it with you, and maybe you'd make a T-shirt, and you'd trade the T-shirt back with me, and 5 pens would be one T-shirt or something, blah blah blah. And then we created paper documents to hold pens. So five pens became one paper document, and it had relative value. Now, our paper is not based on anything physical. There's no relationship between the physicality of the paper, which is now digital, and the actual object, which could be a product, or it could be a precious metal, or anything that currencies are what we call pegged to, connected to. So silver, gold, other rare minerals, or even coffee and Coca-Cola in some countries, because they are of relative value depending upon where you live. So crazy, but that's the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is that there's now no control. You couldn't, in the past, you couldn't get the paper if you didn't have 5 pens. Now you don't need 5 pens to get the paper, and nobody checks it, and nobody controls it, and people are just, what is it? The United States government sent $3 trillion to the Ukraine. Do you really think that $3 trillion is going to the Ukraine? Really? It's going to go Ukraine, boing, and it's going to bounce back out of the Ukraine into into the pockets of various other global organizations. So, because it's just the Ukraine, it's just money laundering. That's all it is. The whole country is just money laundering. So that's the problem with understanding that when you can create infinite money that people believe has value, then you can buy everything, and you can control it all. And that's bad, because it's not real. You're not buying it with real wealth. And that causes inflation, because you print more money, or you create more digital currency, and that just creates more inflation, and everything becomes more expensive, but you don't have any more products. So you've got more money, which has less value, and less products, which have more value, and you're fucked, right? And when people realize that, you've got good people and bad people, and then you get war. Right? That's what the Ukraine is. People trying to clean up the mess and solve the problem, and people who are saying, "Oh no, this is good for us. We're making a lot of money from all these little projects we have there that are really not good for humanity."